Another Monday, another day to ruin your childhood.
Hey y'all, it's your girl Cielo here. Welcome back to my channel. It's Mythology Monday. Make sure to comment below in the comment section which theme do you like the best, green aurora, blue aurora, or pink aurora. Let's begin. Today we're talking about Sleeping Beauty, and instead of doing like a recap of the version we know from Disney and then going back, I'm actually going to change it up in the format and go in chronological order, starting with the first version, and then hoping you can pick up on some of the common themes and what was used in the Disney version. So let's begin. The first recorded version of this story of Sleeping Beauty, it was called Sun, Moon, and Dahlia, or Soleil, Luna e Dahlia, written by Giambattista Basile in 1634. He's an Italian author, and the story is part of a book called The Pintarome. The Pintamorone. I just always like think of that when I hear Italian. Okay. So basically, we have a king and queen in a kingdom, and they have a baby girl, and they're like so excited about it. But their wise oracle people tell them, like, hey, she is going to pass away. Astrologers forecast that Dahlia, the princess, will be endangered by a splinter of flax. And so because of this, the king has every bit of flax removed from the castle and the kingdom, and does not let Talia know that that is her fate. Which I feel like through that you can tell that they're white, because if that would have been my parents, they've been like,
girl, look at this. This is flax. You can't touch this. But go ahead and touch it. Touch it if you want to. Touch it if you want to. But we'll never see you again. We sleep forever. You'll never see. We'll never see you again.
But of course, some years pass by, and naturally, because Talia's never seen flax, she touches a lady's, I believe, spindle, something made of flax, and she is instantly knocked out. Now she's in like a comatose sleep, but she's asleep so deeply that they think she's dead. So what her father does is builds this extravagant house for her in the womb builds an extravagant house for her in the woods as her tomb, and lays her there to rest. And this is where the story starts to get interesting, because a nearby king, not Talia's dad, but another king from another kingdom, comes by, and he's guided into this house by a falcon. And he sees Talia laying there. He tries to wake her up, but you know, she's got the curse, and she's got like flax in her finger. He tries to wake her up, but when he fails, he, you know, is overcome by her beauty and decides to just rape her. Like, is honestly the weirdest thing ever. Like, who does that? Like, he He's overcome by her beauty, and he lifted her in his arms and carried her to the bed where he gathered the first fruits of love. Yeah, that's like a very poetic way of saying rape. But yeah, but then after that, homeboy leaves because actually he's a king in another kingdom, and he's already married to a queen. But from this king laying on the pipe, Talia gets pregnant. Okay, she gets pregnant, and the babies just develop in her body, even though she's not doing anything. She is literally comatose. There's no exactly, I never found any details about how she gives birth, or at least that would actually make sense. But she does give birth to 2 fraternal twins, a boy and a girl. And, they're just chilling there because, like, they're newborns, they don't know what to do. And, of course, being babies, they don't know where to find the food at. They don't know what boobs are because their mom is comatose. So one day, the little girl sucks on Talia's finger with the splinter in it and pulls it out, which in turn wakes up Talia. And she wakes up, and there are these kids here, and she's just like cool with it. She's just like, oh, okay, well, I don't know what these babies are here for, but I'm just gonna name them Sun and Moon. And then later on, for some odd reason, the king comes back to the house where he raped Talia, and he comes back surprised to see that she's awake and that there are 2 babies from their little affair. I don't like the king in this one. I really don't like the king. Since the king already has, a whole wife and kingdom back wherever he's from, he can't stay too long. So he ends up going back to his wife, the queen, and it was said that in his sleep he would mutter, Sun, Moon, and Talia. And he wasn't, I guess he was doing it in his sleep, so I guess he wasn't realizing he was doing it out loud, and that his wife could hear him. So she, being the queen and all, blackmailed his secretary to be like, okay, so like, Sun, Moon, and Talia, what is this about? Who is Talia, what's going on? And his secretary is like, okay, well, he actually made their whole family in the woods, and they're out there. He's got two kids with this woman named Talia in the woods. So now the queen, with her misplaced anger, for some reason is out to get Talia, even though, little does she know, homegirl was just in a coma and has no idea that she even exists, okay? But of course, she's upset with Talia. Like, go figure. Misogyny. So she has the king's secretary go invite Talia and Sun and Moon to the palace. And she orders the secretary to have the cook fry up the 2 kids and eat them. And then she wants to have Talia burn at the stake. Right? So, like, already intense, right? Like, just insane. Insane. Insane, I say. Insane. She already, like, you have all this misplaced anger. You should be mad at your husband who was cheating on you. Okay, but I digress. I'm just, like, that's the only thing about misogyny. I just don't get, like, she's not your husband. You shouldn't be mad at her. She didn't know you were even in the picture. okay? But naturally, of course, she's not Talia. So the cook gets this order, but he doesn't do that. He uses 2 lambs instead, 2 baby lambs instead, to make for the feast for the king and queen to eat. And he hides the sun and moon away. Sun and moon. The kids away. That's what I get for not opening this before I started filming. You know, the king and queen have dinner, and Talia is at the palace, but the king doesn't know that she's there. And the queen finds her, and she's like,
So are you the whore that's been enjoying my husband?
which again, I believe it's a lot of misplaced anger, man, because nobody knows who you are. We did not know he had a wife, okay? We don't know where these babies even came from. How do we know these are even my babies? Like, and I guess, like, to that, I guess she just has to say, yeah, like, from what he told me, yeah. And so she wants to have Talia burned at the stake. But Talia asked her before she burned at the stake to have her, she can take off her dress, because she had like a fancy dress on. She didn't want to be ruined. She wanted to save it for something else or for someone else. So she's taking off her garments really slowly, and she's like crying as she's doing it as well. So the king actually hears her and sees what's going on, and he's like, bro, like, what are you doing? Like, what are you doing? And then the queen's like, it's her moment to unveil her evil plot. She's like, well, guess what? You know, I'm gonna kill your mistress, and you ate your own children. But, and the king's like, what? And he's pissed. So he has her and his secretary burned at the stake. But the cook, when the cook comes up, he's like, whoa, dude, I didn't actually cook them. I fed 2 lambs. Look, here are the kids. They are intact, okay? Like, I didn't do what she said. Don't kill me. And I don't blame him. I mean, if you didn't do the crime, I wouldn't want the punishment either. So the cook gets to live another day, which good for him. Good on him. And he must be like some sort of miracle person. How you keep the babies quiet while all whatever is going on. But yeah, so basically, with the wife dead, you know, the king just marries Talia, and then him, sun and moon, and Talia live happily ever after. And that is the first version of Sleeping Beauty. That is very, very strange and very, very creepy. And the sad part is that it's only going to get, well, it's not going to get weirder. This is actually like I mean, in my opinion, I think of all the fairy tales, this is like the worst one. Like the worst origin story. Why can I not get? The best thing, the good thing about the next 2 versions of Sleeping Beauty is that they both cut out the rape part, which I'm like, thank God, because that is insane. It is insane. And I believe both of these stories are meant to be geared towards like child audiences, which is versus we don't know who Mr. Bosio was writing that first version for, someone with Dahlia. Like, it was just very, very strange. Like, who writes that? Apparently the moral of the story is, to he who has luck may go ahead and bliss will rain upon his head. That's the moral of the story of Sun, Moon, and Dahlia. So basically, those, I've also heard too, it's like, good, those who are good will have good done to them even while they're sleeping. Which I feel like that's subjective. Like, she took it like a champ, but I mean, I don't know if I would just be like chill with like having children coming out of me that I don't know how they got there. But you know what? It's not my life, so I'll just have to stop, I guess. But yeah, so the next version was written by Charles Perrault, a French author, and it was called Un bel dormant, a belle au bois dormant. So, the Sleeping Beauty in the Woods. It's one in French, y'all. Sorry, it's still kind of raggedy. But yeah, so his version starts off with her christening. I believe at this point in time, a lot of Europe is Catholic or Protestant, but very Christian. So it starts off with her christening. They invite 7 fairies, but who all come to bestow gifts on the princess. But the one fairy they didn't invite is pissed. So she comes and she's like, puts a curse on her, being like, hey, so she's gonna die after pricking her finger on a spindle on her 15th birthday. And then the last fairy, because of course the other 6 fairies already gave their gifts away. 7 fairies like, okay, well, she won't die. She's gonna fall asleep for 100 years. And then she'll go on living again. Which I guess like was like a nice medium. I mean, just a nice medium between, I guess. Anyways, of course, again, the king requests that all the spindles be burned, removed from the kingdom and from the castle. But pesky little princess still ends up finding a spindle and pricking her finger. And she is put into a deep, deep sleep. Now the fairies, realize when this happens, and everyone's really saddened by this. They lay her in a special tower of the castle. She won't be bothered. But the fairies have another vision. They have a vision of the princess waking up and being alone. So to do this, they put the whole kingdom to sleep. And a hedge of bush hedges are grow around the castle by their magic, so no one can interrupt everyone in the castle and the kingdom sleeping. Word spreads throughout the land to other kingdoms of the princess that is sleeping in the tower that needs to be awakened with true love's kiss. So if you would just try and fail to get through the briar, but finally one prince, who also does not have a name, is able to break through the briar, kisses the princess, and lifts the curse. And she's just like, oh, thank you so much. And he's like, okay, now that I've done this big heroic thing, let's go get married. And they do. And, they become the king and queen of his kingdom, where they end up having 2 children named Jour and Aurora, which are day and dawn respectively, and happily ever after. Because this is also another point where the story starts to get a little weird. Okay, so they live in the king's kingdom, because patriarchy, whatever. But little does anyone know that the princess's mother-in-law, the old queen of the kingdom, is part ogre. So therefore she likes to eat people. Okay, she likes to eat people. And so she orders, this is so weird, okay. She orders the cook to cook both children up for her to eat. I mean, I feel like I get being, well, I don't get being a cannibal, but like, why are you eating your own grandchildren? Like, that makes no sense. Who's gonna carry your legacy if you eat your own grandchildren? Like, that's stupid, okay? But I digress. Okay, so she is over there. And, the cook is very crafty and hides the kids, which again is kind of amazing. How are you getting these children that are so young to be quiet and hide away? It must be magic, or it must be some sort of drug, because that is not normal. I'm just gonna say that that's not normal. But anyways, he replaces them with both, like, he uses one kid places with the goat and the other kid places with the lamb, and the oddly enough the queen can't tell the difference, which I'm just like, if you eat people, I feel like that would have a distinct taste. I could be wrong, I'm not a cannibal, but I'm just saying, logically, that they're like, it would have to hit different, like if you were eating people. But then again, I could be wrong. Anyways, she doesn't notice that she didn't actually eat children, she just ate a couple of, woodland animals. And she prepares this tub of eels and snakes and vipers to throw the new queen in, because she's just like evil, and I think she's mad that she got her spot taken so quickly. Like, next thing she knew, she was just old news. So she prepares this pit to toss, not even tell you, the princess, the new queen, in. But she's caught by the king being her son. And when she's caught, she just tosses herself into this tub full of eels and vipers and snakes, and she dies. And then everyone just lives happily ever after. The kids and everyone else in the kingdom just like, okay, cool. Which, I mean, that's a little bit nicer, but like, why? Just why is still just always my question. Like, why? I'm still sitting here like, why are you eating your own grandchildren? Just make it make sense, bro. Make it make sense. I just always end up getting powder all over my... Okay. This version I'm talk about is the one by the Grimm brothers, who are really well known. They're from Germany. Their version is probably probably the most tame, which I find interesting, because I feel like the original version of Cinderella is insane. If you want me to do Cinderella, comment down below if you want me to do Cinderella. Oh my goodness, why am I like this? I'm like a messy child. So the Grimm's brother version is Little Briar Rose. Okay. And basically the king and queen of this kingdom were very infertile. They had a hard time having children. So when the queen finally got pregnant and they had a daughter, they were so excited. They had a christening for the baby, of course. But the thing is that there were 13 fairies, but they only had dinner plates to serve 12 of them. So they left out one fairy. And so again, the fairies come bestow gifts upon the princess and the evil fairy that was not invited comes through, and she's like, yeah, so your daughter's gonna die because she's going to prick her hand on a spindle and die because you didn't invite me to this party, even though I've been such a good fairy to you my whole life. And so of course all the other first 11 fairies go. Last fairy didn't go, and she's like, no, she's not gonna die, she is going to just fall asleep, you know, just because the whole death thing's kind of harsh. Like, she's I know I'm gonna try to get back to the king, but like, she's just a kid. She's just a kid. So, right, naturally again, the king gets rid of all the spindles in the nation. And, of course, pesky little princess finds a way to prick her finger on one that she sees, and she is literally put to sleep. But this time the fairies made it so that actually the whole kingdom would fall asleep with her for the 100 years, and that they made a big briar bush to protect the kingdom from any like outside intruders. Which I'm like, that's a lot to do. It's a lot to do. But many people heard rumors about this kingdom where the princess was asleep, and they wanted to be the one to go and rescue her. But naturally, they could not get through the briar bushes. Again, magical briar bushes. A lot of them end up dying trying to rescue her. But finally, there's one prince who comes after 100 years who doesn't even have to fight the magical bushes. He just, like, they let him through. And he comes, kisses the princess, and it's just like, yeah, let's get married. And then everyone lives happily ever after. The end. Like, that's really the end of that one. Like, these are so weird. Because in that one, she knows a little briar rose because of her being guarded by the briar. Which is not her fault. Like, it feels like through all of these, I feel bad because the princess is getting blamed for what her parents messed up. Like, literally, you guys are rich. You could have gotten another plate for the fairy and, like, not been horrible to her. Like, that's what you should have done. If they were smart, that's what they would have done. People want to curse their children and stuff. The worst. The worst, I say. Just the absolute worst. So, of course, Disney took elements of more so the latter two. Like, her princess name is Aurora, but when she was a peasant, her name was Briar Rose, and things like that. And they just made it down to 3 fairies instead of the freaking a billion that like other versions had of like 7 or 13. I don't know. I mean, I guess we could just make the plot more like. Because oddly enough, the Grimm's version of this is like the least exciting one. So like the least exciting one. So that's probably why they did it like that. Like, we need to find some way to add more depth to the story. So like they have, I'm rewatching this. They have them going chilling with this castle and freeing the prince. You know, it needs to give us some little bit more action in the story. And I'm just kind of salty because I didn't really saw when we watched it maybe a couple days ago. She never really wore a green dress in the movie, but I know Ernest made her a green dress, so I made this green look. You know what? Because it's my channel, I can do what I want. I just really want to talk about this story too, because it's one of my favorites. And though it definitely did give me like a lot of very unrealistic expectations of love. Because think about, they're like singing like Once Upon a Dream. I'm just like, oh yeah, he's just gonna know. He's gonna know he's gonna come to you. And he's gonna be your Prince Charming. These men's out here is not Prince Charming. Let me just say. These men's out here is not Prince Charming. Oh my goodness. I just had it. I just had it. I really did. I just had it. But if I knew you. So that's the story of Sleeping Beauty and her evolution. I thought this one had the creepiest origin story because of like, you know, rape. But let me guys know what you think below. Which version of Sleeping Beauty do you think is the most shocking? Because I'm still going with the first one. And also too, please make sure to like, share, and subscribe. And also make sure to comment what is your favorite Sleeping Beauty look: green Aurora, blue Aurora, or pink Aurora. And thank you so much for watching. Bye.